Now we will be seeing the features of ATM systems. Okay. Now why we are seeing the features of ATM system? It is because before seeing the UML diagram, we must understand that why we are drawing the UML diagram. See, there is one features of UML diagram or the benefits of UML diagram which we have discussed. But we should have the huge cases of system in our mind for which we are developing the system. And for that sake, I am just discussing the features of ATM systems and the benefits catered by the ATM system. I know that it is known by you all, but then also it's my responsibility to tell you all because starting anything from basic is good. Now, see, I have made a diagram here, and I think after seeing the diagram, many things will be clear. So what it is saying that there is a ATM machine. Okay, it is ATM machine. We as a user is inserting card in this particular ATM machine, and now that particular card is being sensed by the ATM machine. Then we enter the PIN, our authentication PIN. Now that particular PIN is cross-checked by the bank server. Now bank server check that the PIN which we have entered corresponds to the card in the ATM machine or not. If it is not, then it rejects the card and it does not help us to initiate the transaction. And if it accepts the PIN, then it sends a authentication message to the ATM machine, and then that particular ATM machine gives us the permission to go forward with our transaction. Now I hope it's clear for you all to the simple working of ATM machine, that how the authentication take place. Now these are the features or the use cases of ATM machine. What we can do? We can withdraw the money, we can deposit, we can transfer, and we can do balance inquiry. I know these all things are basic, but since it is written here, so it's good to discuss. Now we will be discussing the object-oriented approach. Basically, in UML diagram, object-oriented approach is used. So, in modeling, we are bifurcating the modeling into two parts. One is static modeling and one is dynamic modeling. And I have written here so that you all can understand. Now, in static modeling, there comes two things. Wait a second. So in a static modeling, one comes use case and another comes class diagram. So we will be discussing both the things, use case diagram and class diagram. Now, before discussing the diagram, it is important to understand that what is static modeling. So static modeling focuses on the fact that how the system which we are going to design, which we are going to build, will look like. It analyzes the structures and substructures on which the system which we are going to make will be based upon. To understand the example, suppose you are making a building. Now for making a building, we hire an architect and he makes a design. So he tells us about the physical appearance of our house, that how our house will look like. Now there will be various structures and various substructures in our house. Same goes for designing of any system. Now coming to the use case modeling for the ATM system. In ATM system, I have discussed before that there are different use cases: transaction, deposit, withdraw. So I think we will be discussing one by one different use cases. Now, in a use case, suppose we are using anything, then there is a role of everything. As a consumer, we have our role. As a bank associates or a bank officers, they have their roles. ATM machine in itself has its own role. So first we will be discussing the role of everyone. Now one is operator. which operates the ATM. See, I know that ATM is automatic machine, but every machine has someone to control, and ATM has also someone to control, because in any worst cases there should be any interruption from the outside. So operator starts the system and shuts the system. Customer starts the session, pin verification, transaction, he can deposit, he can withdraw, he can balance inquiry. Bank will authenticate everything and will keep an eye over each transaction. I hope I am clear to you all up to this. Now coming to withdrawal transaction use case. Now suppose that a customer enters something. He enters his account, ATM machine. He enters his type of account, either it is a saving account or a current account. He enters the PIN. Now authentication occurs. After authentication, it is also checked that is there enough money in the account of that particular customer, the amount which he or she have entered. So what is the precondition? That customer should enter a ATM card and enter a valid PIN. Who is a primary actor here? Since customer is withdrawing, so primary actor will be customer. Who are the stakeholders? Stakeholders are those who have certain part in that particular use case. See, customer has the main part because he is entering everything, money is his, and he is withdrawing his money or her money. But in his withdrawal, there is role of various there are role of various other entities also, and those are known as stakeholders. So one is customer, one is bank that owns the ATM, one is ATM administrator, and now it will be a waste of time to discuss all of these things because these are certain terms which you all know. Now coming to the class diagram, we will be discussing our class diagram directly because we have various other things to discuss also. Now we will directly see the class diagram. See, here is a ATM. Now in that particular ATM, class diagram can be turned at the back end. See, we have seen the structure, but the working behind the structure depends on the class diagram. Now see, here is a customer console which we all see. It is above the ATM machine where we see different information and we enter information. Inside the ATM, there is one ATM ID which is a primary key, and it is unique for every ATM. No two ATM will have the same ATM ID. One is bank name and it is stored in the string data type. One is location, it is stored in string data type. One is state, it is stored in string data type. Now there are different operations, or you can say functions. So startup function, shutdown function, create session function, and then get log detail function. Okay. Now through ATM, different things are connected. One is receipt printer, because after you withdraw your money, you get a receipt. One is card reader. You put your ATM card in the card reader and it checks all the details that it is valid or not. One is cash dispenser, one is operator. Okay. And now we are seeing here that how it works. From card, when we entered our card in the card reader, that particular card goes here, then a session is created, and after that transaction session starts. Now in that particular transaction session, we can deposit, we can withdraw, we can balance, we can max withdraw. So I hope it's clear to you all, and it is a table which tells us about the things which I have told you before, all the things which is written in that particular diagram. It is being tabulated or tabulated here. Now we will be discussing about the dynamic modeling of ATM machine. Now what we have seen in the static modeling, that it focuses on our structure. Now dynamic modeling focuses on the system behavior, which includes sequence and collaboration diagram, activity diagram, and state diagram. We will be discussing only state diagram and we will be not going further. So what happened in the state diagram? See, in particular state, I have told you before that there will be different states of the ATM machine. Now how transition occurs in all those states, it is shown in that particular ATM diagram. So we will be directly seeing the diagram, what it is saying. See, it is power off, it is wait for service. Now when we switch on, it is waiting for the service. And when it is in this particular state, ideal state, when we switch off, it will go again to the power off. Now when it is in the wait of the service or idle state, we insert a card, activity is performed. Now our ATM machine is active. And if card is ejected, it will again go in idle state. If card is inserted, it will come in active state. Now in active state, there is one menu which displays different type of options. Now when you select a menu, it will the menu you will select, that particular transaction will occur and that transaction will be continued. Now when that particular transaction is successful, you get a receipt, and then when you get a receipt, your transaction is over. Again, when your transaction is over, you just put out your card. When you put out your card, again it will go to idle state, and after idle state, if it is switched off, then it's go in a sleep state. And I hope that it's clear. Now this was for now. Other things we will discuss further because it will be a lengthy video, and I think that you all will become bored by reading that much particular thing.